Hey, what it do, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. So right now I'm in between projects. I'm like halfway done filming one thing that we got going on. Has largely to do with that, but we got to put that on standby because I'm waiting for a couple parts. So what we're gonna be doing today, we're gonna be working on my buddy Dylan's tractor, but this new style of hydraulic hoses, you guys, I don't know that I'm a huge fan of it. And we're gonna be showing you guys some of the pros and cons of these new hydraulic fittings that Cat came out with. There's some plastic involved, which I don't know if hydraulic fittings should have plastic. And on top of that, we got to do some work to my 299, so we're going to be pulling this in the shop. But pretty much we're going to be wrenching all day. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's go ahead and jump on into it, and let's... I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. How they have this little plate right here that holds all the hoses in place so they can't wiggle around as much. So I went ahead and took this clip off. You guys can see this one right here. So basically all you have to do is push it in. You can see that those pins have nowhere to go because they're kind of locked in place. Got the cab up, we got the tractor running, got all the fluids changed out, all new filters. And guess what, guys? Zero leak. You guys, I was about to give up all hope, but check it out. Today, we're working on my buddy's 259D, which if anybody's been following me for a while, you guys know that I used to have a 259D, and I think these are like bang for buck, the best compact truck loader you can buy. So this tractor right here has like a 74.9 horsepower engine, which puts it just a step under 75 horsepower, which means you don't need DEF. So it still does have the diesel particulate filter. But what's so cool about this tractor is like how compact, but how powerful it is. I will put this tractor next to that tractor so you guys can kind of get like a size comparison at some point in the video, but this machine is just incredible for how big it is. So I really like this tractor. Now there's been some design improvements, but there's also some changes. I don't know if they're improvements per se, namely how they route the hoses. I love how they have these set up now. I love that they have this plate right here so they can't wiggle around as much, wear on each other. On my 299, that is like the biggest problem, is that all the hoses just come in together and they're constantly rubbing on each other and they wear out pretty fast. So they kind of eliminated that. And they did change up a couple other things. They changed the style of fitting on the hydraulic hoses, which I'm not a huge fan of. I do like flat face O-ring. It's just traditional. It's been around forever. Seems to work really good. So one thing that I do like about Caterpillar is they're always trying to renovate stuff. And I think this fitting is like a good step in the right direction. It's literally just push on, push off. It's kind of mind-blowing how it actually works. All right, so let's go ahead and climb on up underneath this thing. I know the lighting's not going to be super great, but you guys, I really love the hose placement on this. It's so much better than it used to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and explain how these hoses actually work, and it's pretty wild. So they have this little retaining clip right here that you put on, and if you look, you can see each of these hoses have one. And what that does is it limits it from how far in it can go. And so when you push this in, it actually clips into place, and this black ring is kind of essential in that. And so it has these little flanges, which are actually these guys right here, and they are inside of this fitting right here, and they're basically held open like that, and as you slide that fitting in, they just come closed like that. And because it has this retaining clip, it doesn't allow it to go any farther, and it actually locks it in place. So I went ahead and took this clip off so you guys can see this one right here. So basically all you have to do is push it in past its clip point. You guys will see, oh, if I can do it with my left hand. Let's try right hand. Okay, so you guys heard that right there. Basically it pushed in and it lifts up on those jaws that were in there, and now this thing will just slide out with a little bit of persuasion. So you can see this little plastic ring right here, how it slides back and forth. That is what releases the jaws inside, and then you have your O-ring for sealing out here. So we're gonna go ahead and put this guy like that, put this red clip back on, and now when you push this back in, it's gonna limit how far it can go, and now it will not come out because it has to push in past where this clip will let the hose go in to release those jaws. So this thing's not going anywhere. It's sealed and it's not gonna leak. So anyhow, it's a pretty cool concept design. The only problem is that there's a lot more pieces inside of it than a traditional hydraulic fitting. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. There's more stuff to fail. Whereas like the flat face O-ring, the only thing that can really fail is one O-ring. Whereas on this one, you have a bunch of different stuff that can actually go bad on it. So the convenience is there, reliability, I don't think it's quite as good as the flat face O-ring stuff. So regardless, we're gonna go ahead and put all this stuff back together. I picked up new O-rings and new seals, and we're gonna go ahead and replace every single one that's inside that guy. And hopefully that fixes the problem, because that's where it's leaking from. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all put back together. We're gonna get it fired up, and if she doesn't leak anymore, I'm gonna call my buddy, he's gonna come pick it up. So I think I've just got about everything figured out, but I need an 1.5 inch socket that is not a deep socket. So I gotta run over to the neighbor's house real quick. He'll probably have one. I'm hoping he does. If not, I'm gonna have to run all the way into town to grab one, which is probably something I should have anyways, but I do not. So I'll be right back. All right, we just got back and he had exactly what I needed. So we're gonna go ahead and get this back fitting off because I think the O-ring on this one's boogered up and I cannot get this one off without taking off this back one, because as you rotate it, you guys can hear that hitting, and that's pretty much stopping all progress. So once we get that back one off, we'll go ahead and replace the O-ring. And I did pick up 2 new O-rings because anytime you guys take off a fitting like that, it's usually best to go ahead and replace the O-rings. Even if they're okay, there still might be some slight damage, and O-rings are cheap, so it's better just to put new ones on and not have to worry about it. So we're gonna go ahead and get this off, and then we'll get this guy off, and we'll inspect that one O-ring that I'm pretty sure that's where it's leaking from. Man, that's on there. All right, so when these fittings get torqued into place, you guys can kind of see how the O-ring mashes out a little bit. Not sure how well that's going to show up on camera, but you guys can see that it's not like a true O-ring, whereas we have the new one over here where it's not deformed at all. So when we go to put this one back on, we'll take that off, put this new O-ring on, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and set that right there. Then we should be able to take this guy off, which I think is where the problem is. All right, guys, well, my suspicions were correct. You guys can see this O-ring right here, how it's pretty much split in half. That's definitely where the leak was coming from. So we're gonna go ahead and get this replaced. I did pick up a new O-ring to put on the back side of this one just in case, but I'm like 99% sure it's not coming from there, and it is coming from this O-ring right here. So we'll go ahead and take this one off, put the new O-ring on, get this reinstalled, and then we'll put that back fitting back on, and we'll start putting everything back together. All right, so I don't know what proper protocol is on this one, but I've been trying to get this fitting, which has all these little keeper pins or whatever these are that go inside this little collar, into here. And every time I do it, they fall through. So when I was at Caterpillar yesterday picking up the stuff that I needed, they actually didn't have the release clip that I needed. But I'm actually kind of glad that I have this now, because I'm gonna go ahead and use this. And when I go ahead and put all the little keeper sleeves or pins or whatever these are in place, I'm gonna slide it over the fitting to actually help hold them in place. And then from there, I'll go ahead and put it into the actual fitting itself, and they should all stay put. That's what I'm thinking anyways. We'll see how it works, and if it does, it should be pretty slam dunk on getting this thing back together. All right, so now you guys can see that those pins have nowhere to go because they're kind of locked in place, being held by the actual coupler itself. So now all I have to do is actually put it into the fitting, which, looking at it now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this guy 90 degrees so that this top piece right here is actually facing that way. So I'm not 100% sure where my hat went. I'm sure my hair just looks great, but we got the cab up, we got the tractor running, got all the fluids changed out, all new filters, and as I'm looking at it, we got 0 leaks, and also I think my lens is kind of oily. But I just got to call out for work, so I got to get going. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing all back together. It's like 95% there. I'm going to go do a quick little test run, and then I'll call Dylan and let him know it's up and working. But you guys can see that we have all the fittings right here back and installed, and they are not leaking. This one right here was pretty much like a constant drip coming out of that fitting. So overall, this is a huge success. I'm gonna go ahead and let this thing do its regen cycle, which probably takes about 4 or 5 minutes. So everything will be nice and warm. Hopefully I have all my tools cleaned up by then. Then we'll give it a quick little test, and if it's good, if it passes, I'll call Dylan and tell him to come get his machine. All right, well, so far so good. The tractor seems to be running all right. Our temps are looking good, even though the tractor is like still kind of warming up, and it's really not hot outside, so it would take quite a bit for these temps to get up hot. But so far, everything seems to be working good. We're gonna go ahead and get one scoop. We're gonna go ahead and see if this thing can reach high enough for the screen, and then I'll run it back down to the shop and check for any leaks. And then if everything's looking good, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. All right, look at that. Pulling back up to the shop. We're gonna lift the cab back up, make sure everything's good, and then if we're looking solid, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this thing off and call it a day as far as the 259 goes, because I actually got to go to work now. All right, now I'm not a certified mechanic, don't claim to be, and I'm pretty sure I did something that was technically incorrect, but so far my record's pretty good. We got no leaks. She's running like a champ. And I think Dylan's gonna be pretty happy, because the wait time to get this thing into the shop was about 3 weeks. and it took me about 3 days to get it fixed. So I think it ended up being a little bit quicker for him, and it gave me something to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and actually move my pickup. I'm gonna park the 259 next to the 299 so you guys can see the size difference real quick, because it really is pretty substantial. The 299 is just a beast of a compact track loader. All right, so let's go ahead and crank through this real quick. We got the 259 right here. We got the 299 right there. Now this is like a newer model, so there's gonna be a couple slight differences, but you guys can see on the 299, first of all, that the front arms come way forward from where the cab actually sits. So the cab has a step right here, and then on the arms, they actually stick out farther. You guys can see that we bent these lovely bars right here. But up until about 6 months ago, there was just a nice little gap right here. Whereas on the 259, the actual arms sit quite a bit closer. I'm assuming it has something to do with center of gravity. I don't know, but we're gonna go ahead and make our way to the back of the cab. You guys can see from here to here on the 299 is way more substantial than it is on the 259. So it comes back quite a bit farther. You guys can see here's the end of the 259 and there's the 299. Now both have options for counterweights. I put these on here because I used to run super heavy attachments on this thing, and I actually still run the Crusher, which is a mega heavy attachment. So you want as much weight towards the back down low as you can. You can put the counterweights on this guy. Dylan does not have them. I don't really think he needs them for what he does. But overall, they're both great machines. And then from the back side, they pretty much look the same. The 299 might be like a hair wider than the 259 is. The 299 has a 107 horse motor as opposed to like a 75 horse motor. But you guys, like I said in the beginning of the video, the 259 is just bang for buck. Like, I think one of the best machines that you can buy. So anyhow, I gotta get my truck, I gotta go. I'm super happy that the tractor's actually working. I was getting kind of nervous for a little bit because those fittings were a bear to get off. So I lied, we're gonna fix one more thing real quick. The pin on the bucket is not taking grease. It got clogged up pretty good, so I went ahead and took it out. And I know my camera's like covered in oil right now, so the picture's just awful, but I apologize. You wanna take these things out and you wanna find where the grease is supposed to come through. On this one, it kinda looks like it's right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera down and see if we can get this thing picked out. I'm guessing it's right there. No. Let's see. I don't know. Might take some figuring out. All right, so there was a decent amount of pressure in there, and I just kept picking at it, and eventually it shot a rock out. But now we got a nice, clean, straight shot of where the grease is supposed to come through. So he's gonna be able to grease his bucket now. That'll make him happy. So really not a hard fix. One bolt, you gotta pull the pin out. Then you just put it back in, put the one bolt back in, and throw some grease in there. Hey, what do you think? Should we start this tractor up? You want to go in the tractor?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do? Yeah. Okay. So the 299 should be a pretty quick fix. It's basically missing this big round puck right here. I would show you guys this one, but obviously it's pretty caked in mud, but it's a good sized puck. And what that thing does is actually keep the track assembly from coming off of these pins. So it's kind of important. And I really should not be running it how it is. All right, so one of the first things that I'm gonna do, this is gonna be kind of hard to pick up on camera, but since the bolt's broken off down in there, and I don't want the drill bit walking around, I'm gonna take this punch right here, basically gonna try and dimple a hole right in the center of the bolt. And then from there, I'll be able to stick the drill in it, and hopefully it'll have like a designated spot so that it doesn't walk around, and we're able to get a hole at least pretty close to the center to go ahead and put the easy out in and try and get that bolt out. So here goes nothing. Looks pretty good to me. Nope. Let's go right there. Beautiful. That's pretty close. All right, well, I just got done drilling out a slightly larger hole, enough to fit this guy in there. This is the biggest easy out that I have, so I'm really hoping this one works. You guys can tell I had this one right here, which I thought would have done the trick, but I wasn't even trying that hard and it broke right off. So I'm hoping this one is made out of a little bit better steel. Kind of looks like it is. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a shot. Wish me luck. Come on, let's go. Nope. Not budging. So as far as trying to get these bolts out, I think I might be at my limit right now. I just broke the easy out again, like even farther down, and they are just not budging. So this is like my final attempt at trying to get the bolts out. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and melt them out very carefully, and hopefully I don't make things worse, but I don't know what else to do because they are like tucked way back in there. So if I can do it right, I think I'll be able to melt the center of the bolt out and be able to get it out. Even though it's gonna be a little bit complicated now because I have an easy out wedged in there too in the center of one of them. And honestly, I don't know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna give it a shot, and hopefully I don't have to buy a whole nother torsion bar assembly because this piece right here is $1,000. So I may be a very upset James here in a little bit and regretting my choices. So we're gonna go ahead and try and blast those out, and we'll see how it goes. You guys, I was about to give up all hope, but check it out. We got her. Well, at least one of them. This has taken entirely way too long, but we got them all out. Now we just got one more. All right, so it doesn't happen very often, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel and do a pretty ghetto repair on this one. You guys can see that we have the Caterpillar bolt right here. I have this one right here, which is the exact same one that I installed right there. This one did get installed correctly. It's in there snug. This guy is just pretty much just drived in there. It's kind of like a compression fit. So you guys can see the size difference on these. This one's substantially longer. And the only reason I installed this one was to keep this from rocking back and forth. So I'm not super worried about it because realistically the next big thing that I'm going to be fixing on this tractor is the torsion bars. And so all this is going to have to come off anyways. And I'm going to have brand new internals right there, which will just have the nice bolts go in nice and smooth, and it won't be a problem. So I'm hoping that that one bolt will at least last a couple months, and if it doesn't, well then I guess it'll just kind of expedite the next project. So we're gonna leave that as is for now. I'm gonna go ahead and weld this so that it doesn't back out or fall out and keep this puck from rotating. All right, guys, well, it is getting late and I am tired, so I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. Not quite the outcome that I wanted, but it's way better than it was because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been driving this thing for probably like 4 or 5 weeks without that rear puck on there, just trusting that the front one was gonna keep it on, and it did. But if you could do me a huge solid, like, subscribe, share this video with your amigos, hit that notification button down below so you guys can continue to see progress on all our other random projects like this guy. I'm so excited for that thing to be working. And I'm gonna give you guys a little hint. The reason I'm trying to get it working is because it is 3-phase 208, I believe, or 240, or 230. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it is the voltage that the milling machine needs. So you can put 2 and 2 together. I'm trying to get this thing working to be the powerhouse for that. So kind of a weird setup, but if it works and I can get it dialed in, it's gonna be great. And I just realized I'm rambling, so I will see you guys next time. Later.